Welcome back, everyone. We are on a mission to control this sage grass. I'm going to show you a prime example here, matter of fact. So this pasture right here, where you see all these patchy spots right there, right? Where it's got real tall stemmy stuff, that is sage grass. Now you can see a lot of that pasture doesn't have that problem. And I can tell you why. So a lot of that pasture doesn't have that problem, and the reason being is because for a while we were spreading manure on it plus on the hayfield. Well, as we got GPS and stuff, we realized we weren't putting enough down in some spots, and then we were putting too much down in others, and that field is a result of too much down in one spot. Now it hurt it the first couple of, well, first year, maybe a little bit, maybe 2 years, but after that it really helped the soil substantially, and it helped it overcome any of the sage grass or anything else that wanted to live there. And that's what you want. You want all that stuff gone. You want the nutrition to be high enough. Well, 5 years ago, when we started doing our own hay and we really started to look at soil health and stuff like that, we realized that we are very nutrient deficient at that point 5 years ago, and our soil was incredibly acidic. Well, sage grass thrives in acidic soil, and that's where it wants to live. So even when you get the soil to where it's not acidic anymore, so like we've actually corrected that issue through fertilization and lime spreading, well, what do you do with the sage grass? That's just it. There's not a whole lot you can do. So even though sage grass prefers acidic soil, so now comes into question, what do you do once you have the fertility of the soil really close to correct? Well, we brush hog, because we can't spray it. If we spray sage grass, we're going to kill the other grasses, because sage grass is a grass. So any herbicide that'll kill it will kill fescue, timothy, orchard, brome, any other grasses that we have planted. We don't want to do that, and the easiest way to do this at this point is to brush hog it back. Now we prefer to keep everything clean anyways come fall, because fescue, which is our primary grass that we want growing, fescue is a cool season grass. It likes to grow in the fall and it likes to grow in the spring. So essentially we have two back-to-back seasons coming up where it won't have any pressure from sage grass, nor will it have pressure from Lespedeza or other stuff. Now the brush hogging method worked a little bit on the cereza, but the cereza is just such a strong and invasive plant. I'm not saying it's impossible to get rid of, because we got rid of it, but it's almost impossible to get rid of it without spraying. Brush hogging will work over the course of probably a decade. I'm not going to wait that long, because in reality that's a lot of money that I'm losing out on when it comes down to hay and even pasture production if I had to start feeding hay because of it. So back to what we're doing here is, that's it. We're just brush hogging it all off, getting it to where everything underneath of it can see sunlight, because needless to say, come fall and winter, very little sunlight is around and present. So nothing wrong with that. It's just a simple fact that if there's no sunlight, there's no photosynthesis. So if you got blades that are down and hunkered up under a real thick cover of this sage grass, very little, if any, light's going to get through it. It's just like the cereza lespedeza. It can choke stuff out, because that's all it does is block everything out and get to a point where nothing else can grow around it. Some of you might be asking also, well, if you brush hog it, isn't it just going to sprout right back up? Yes, but no. So the last time we brush hogged, yes, it'll sprout back up, but we did it because we wanted everything else to get a chance to grow and come back harder than the sage grass was. Now the sage grass has come back again. We're going to brush hog again, because at this point it's pretty well done, and the chances of it coming back and sprouting out to make a seed is pretty minimal. Not saying it won't happen, I'm just saying it's unlikely. If it does happen, obviously it is what it is, but it'll be real short stems and they won't be towering over everything like these ones do. What else is hard to deal with about it? Let's say I get rid of all of it on my place. Well, the problem is that if other people around you have it, it spreads like wildfire. That stuff, it's because it has a cottony seed. So anybody to the west, south, or north of me that has it is a problem for me, because whenever that stuff seeds out, especially when we start getting our fall winds, we'll have 20, 30 mile an hour winds pretty commonly. It's not unusual for us. Well, when we have that, that really makes it to where there's nothing we can do about it keeping it gone, right? Because if the seeds land and it's got that bare soil to go, it's gonna go. Now, if the soil fertility, like we talked about, is back to where we want it for fescue, it's not ideal for sagebrush, and the likelihood of it growing on our property is far less, but not zero. It still obviously can germinate, and grass seed can germinate in a paper towel or tomato plants. Maybe it's tomato plants, I can't remember. My wife does it with her first grade class. They put a seed in the paper towel with it wet, and it'll grow. Obviously, not the same concept here, but similar, because if it can grow in paper towels, is it going to be thriving? No, because it's going to have to get to the soil. But if it can sprout in that, it can sprout there, and then once it gets going, it's hard to control it.